Callum, I want to come over to you now because you were at uni in 2020.
Yes.
Then you decided university weren't for you.
Yeah, not for me at the time.
It wasn't the experience you wanted.
No, it was heart of COVID. There was lots of factors at play, and I know I just wasn't ready for it at the time. So dropped out, came home, didn't really know what to do with myself. I've got some experience working with kids from before, so I signed up to a teaching assistant agency. I never planned for that to be a long-term career. I got placed in a school. I did well. I got noticed by them higher up.
Can I ask you, can I just jump in? Sorry to interrupt you, but talk to us about the registration process of the recruitment company prior to actually being assigned a school.
It was phone calls first. There was actually lots of emails. I think they actually emailed me quite early on in 2021. I avoided that email for at least a month and a half. Then thought,
what, like didn't answer it? You just said, no, I'm not answering
it. And then I
it.
was like, oh, I actually do need a job now. So I was like, oh, sorry, I've only just seen this. It went in
Crazy, isn't it?
my spam. I was like, I did that classic line. I've only just found it. Sorry. Are you still open?
We're even frightened to write back when we ain't got to speak sometimes. Yeah, go on.
So they phoned me that same day, and then I went down to their office shortly after to have the sort of informal chat. It was very, very informal. I took down the documents I needed, and at the time, they were just desperate for anyone to sign up to be a teaching assistant. Because of COVID, because of the living cost at the time, there was a lack, particularly in males. So when I rocked up and I said I can work Monday to Friday anywhere within, say, 20, 30 mile radius, they got me signed up pretty quickly. I was adamant I still don't want to work in a secondary school. I put my foot down. I said, I really do not want to work in a secondary school.
Why?
Scary. Kids.
Okay.
So then the next day I arrived at a secondary school.
I
was going to say.
Whoa.
These kids seem even bigger now.
Damn.
Yeah. So that's what happened when I put my foot down. I was firm. I was like, I want to be in a primary school. So then I arrived at the Church in Wales High School, and I was told they are very well behaved, which they weren't, but that made my job good. So I arrived, but I was so nervous that it was bank holiday on the Monday. I drove to the school on the Monday just so I would know where I was going to take away a little bit of anxiety on the Tuesday. So when Tuesday rocked up, I was there. I was put with a boy. Immediately we had quite a good relationship. He noticed my stutter instantly because it was a bit all over the place. And he asked me if I hate having a stutter. And I said to him, at the end of the day, it's part of me. It doesn't define me. I'm still here, and I'm not going to let it stop me. And then later on that day, he had to write his CV, and he got ADHD. And he asked me, sir, shall I put this on my CV? So then I said, think about what I told you earlier about my stutter. And then he put it on his CV, but he put it in a positive way. So after that first day, I felt, oh, that's actually okay. And then I was continued working with this pupil for quite a while. And then a job came up in that school. And then I had to think, I'm doing well here. I'm liking this. So why don't I actually go for it? So that's when I sort of texted you and I was a bit like, I need interview practice. So we set that up. We ran through it. And again, we said earlier, it put me in such a good stead for going in because I had that preparation. I had the practice as well, but it was that I knew what I wanted to say. I could practice what I wanted to say. So then when I went into the actual interview, then I felt a lot more confident than I would have before. And it was something that the assistant head said to me before I went in. He said, talk about your experience. So you've been here 4 or 5 weeks, talk about everything you've done and all the positive impacts you've made. As it's pointless just saying, I'm this person, I like this and all that. The head wants to know what you have done. So then I went in, I talked about what I'd done, I talked about what we practiced, and then no longer than 5 minutes later, I got a call offering me the job. And then that was brilliant. So then come the summer, I had a new class, and this class were very rough and ready. One of the worst classes the school has seen for a while. I could handle them, of course. But the funniest part was, one of them asked me if I have a stutter. And I said, yeah, I do. And then as soon as I do, every hand goes up going, Sir, I got one too. Sir, I got one too. And me, sir, and me. Until all 11 of them in my class all claimed to have a stutter. Not in a mocking way, not in a bad way, but they wanted to be like sir.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are they taking the piss?
Oh
or
no, they all
how-
really wanted to. They're like, oh, sir, if you listen, you like. They really wanted me to believe them. And I know we talked earlier in the podcast about people saying, "Oh, I stutter too sometimes," and it's not. Well, you don't. But in that moment, I was like, "This is actually shows it good," but because I'm being open and honest with them about something that could be considered an insecurity for me. That's encouraging that open and honesty with them. Admittedly, they were open and honest about something they've not got, but they were still open and honest, and they wanted to share what was a struggle with me. So that was, that made me feel really good. And I definitely grew as a person in that job. I was there for nearly 2 years. I remember at the start, the people I was with at the start started calling me a really nice, great teacher for the first 2-3 days. Then on the 4th day, he didn't call me a great teacher. We still got along, everything was the same, but he did not say the words, "You are a great teacher." I went home, I thought, what have I done? I felt awful, but I was seeking that validation. Then, but by the end of my job there, I was getting called every name under the sun by some of the kids. I still knew I was a good teacher, so it's fine.
Yeah, because coming back to the stuff we talked before, his identity changed, right? Because it was based on what they were saying to him.
Yeah, and then my identity turned to "Don't cross me, Mr. Schofield." Yeah, so that was really interesting. And it's like we talked about earlier. If you're not having those peaks and troughs, then you're not stepping out of your comfort zone. I can't remember who said that quote, but it's something about that if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. And I felt like in my teaching assistant role, I'd done everything I wanted to do. I was trained in more than I ever thought I could be trained in, including the physical restraint training, which is 80% communication. So I was like, well, the fact I've been put through this £200 training course, that must show I'm not bad at communicating, particularly sort of deferring situations. Not deferring, what word? Deteriorating. Is that the right word?
Maybe.
It's not, but I know
Close enough.
Yeah,
Close enough.
it'll do. So, diffusing. That's a diffusing situations.
Diffusing, yeah, that's it.
We got there. So that made me feel good. So then I thought, what can I do next? And that's when I found the teaching course that specialises in primary and special needs, and I've loved working with SEN kids.
So why would you do that as opposed to carry on working where you were and just like growing that way?
Because I feel like from my career perspective as a support assistant, one, money, the pay's not enough for what you do. The pay's not enough. Two, and I just wanted more. I had that sort of itch that I love being with a class, but I want my own class. And the reason I went for the primary rather than staying in secondary was I loved what I did in the secondary. I loved the closeness, the personalness with the kids. And if I was a secondary school teacher, I wouldn't get that to the extent that I had being the support assistant in a class, which is why I thought if I go primary, I can have my own class for a year and I still get that personalness whilst moving forward and being a teacher. So that was my move. And it was scary because I was comfortable in the job. I was comfortable. It was all going well. I had an amazing team around me. I had a boss who was like my second mum in work. So the decision to leave was definitely one I was like, even down to the last day, when all the kids were all a bit teary as I was going, I was like, it was so easy for me to say, I'll stay. But I know I've done what's best, and you've got to make those changes, you've got to make those challenges, and now I know in 2.5 years' time, I'll be a fully qualified primary and SEN teacher. And even though that was never the end goal when I first got a job working in a school, I thought it was going to be a quick fix when I needed money. I've now found my passion and purpose of what I really want to do.